In 2018 at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, an American oncologist dismissed a Filipino cancer patient's herbal tea as folklore medicine that has no place in modern treatment. 18 months later, that same doctor was publishing peer-reviewed research papers on the plant compound that helped save his patient's life, papers that would challenge everything he'd been taught in medical school. Here's what makes the story even more shocking. According to the World Health Organization, 80% of the world's population relies on plant-based medicine as their primary healthcare. Yet American medical schools spend an average of just 19 hours on herbal medicine across 4 years of education. That's less time than they spend on pharmaceutical sales presentations. If you've ever been dismissed by a doctor who wouldn't listen when you mentioned alternative treatments, this story will make your blood boil. Because what happened next exposed a $1.4 trillion industry's biggest fear. March 2018. Johns Hopkins Oncology Department. Maria Santos, 62 years old, sits in an examination room holding a Ziploc bag of dried leaves. She's a Filipino immigrant who cleaned houses in Baltimore for 30 years, no health insurance until Medicare kicked in at 65, and now she has stage 3 colon cancer. Her hands are shaking, not just from fear but from the weight of hope she's carrying in that Ziploc bag. Her younger sister just flew in from Manila with these leaves, Tawato, Euphorbia hirta, the same plant their Lola used to make into tea whenever anyone in the family got sick. Dr. Richard Campbell walks in, reviews her chart, sees the survival statistics for her cancer stage. Then he notices the Ziploc bag. "What's that?" he asks. Maria explains in her careful English, the English she learned while cleaning other people's homes, that this is medicine from the Philippines, that her grandmother swore it helped with everything from dengue fever to cancer, that her sister says people back home are using it. Dr. Campbell's response is immediate and dismissive. "Mrs. Santos, these leaves won't cure cancer. If anything, they might interfere with your chemotherapy. You're wasting time that could save your life. We need to start aggressive treatment immediately." Maria nods. She agrees to the chemotherapy. She signs all the consent forms. But she also keeps the Ziploc bag. Because when you grow up in the Philippines, you learn that Western medicine and traditional medicine aren't enemies, they're partners. Your Lola didn't reject the doctor, she supplemented him. So Maria does both. Every morning before her chemo sessions, she drinks tawa-tawa tea. Every evening after, she drinks more. She doesn't tell Dr. Campbell because she knows he won't approve, and she can't risk being dropped from treatment. 6 months pass. Maria's tumor markers are dropping, but they're dropping faster than chemo alone typically achieves. Dr. Campbell is pleased but puzzled. Her response rate is in the top 10% of patients with her cancer type and stage. He runs additional blood analysis looking for genetic markers that might explain her exceptional response. That's when he finds it. A compound in her bloodstream that isn't from any chemotherapy drug, something he doesn't recognize. He calls Maria in for a consultation. "Mrs. Santos, I need to know, are you taking any supplements, any medications we haven't prescribed?" Maria hesitates. Then she reaches into her purse and pulls out the Ziploc bag, the same one he dismissed 6 months ago. "This," she says. That moment changed his entire career. But first he had to overcome something more powerful than ignorance. To understand why American doctors don't know about these treatments, you have to understand how they're educated. Dr. Elena Rodriguez is a Filipino-American physician who graduated from UCLA Medical School in 2003. During her 3rd year, she had a patient with chronic cough, and she mentioned that lagundi, a common Filipino plant, had been clinically proven in the Philippines to work as well as pharmaceutical cough suppressants. Her supervising physician pulled her aside after rounds and told her, "We don't practice folklore medicine here. Stick to evidence-based treatments." The irony? The Philippines had published clinical trial results on lagundi in 1997. It was evidence-based. But it wasn't American evidence, and more importantly, it wasn't pharmaceutical evidence. The pharmaceutical industry spends $30 billion annually on medical education in the United States. They fund the conferences doctors attend, sponsor the journals doctors read, pay for the lunches during medical school lectures. A 2016 study published in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, found that 94% of medical school lectures on pharmacology are funded by pharmaceutical companies. Here's a specific example that should enrage you. Lagundi, Vitex Negundo, was proven effective for cough and asthma in Philippine Department of Health clinical trials starting in 1997. That's 27 years ago. The studies met international research standards, showed clear efficacy, documented safety profiles. It's still not FDA approved in the United States. But because natural plants can't be patented, you can't patent something that grows wild. And if you can't patent it, pharmaceutical companies can't make exclusive profits from it. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched her patients spend $400 a month on asthma inhalers when $8 worth of Lagundi extract worked equally well. If you've ever looked at a pharmacy bill and felt physically sick, this is why. In 2019, during congressional hearings on drug pricing, it was revealed that pharmaceutical industry lobbying specifically against herbal medicine classification and easier approval pathways totaled $295 million. Here's another example. Sambong, Blumia balsamifera, treats kidney stones. In the Philippines, it costs about $3 for a treatment course. In the United States, kidney stone removal through lithotripsy costs an average of $12,000. The financial incentive to keep you ignorant is overwhelming. Dr. Elena Rodriguez now runs an integrative medicine clinic in Los Angeles where she combines both approaches, and her patient outcomes are extraordinary. But Maria's case was about to expose something even more disturbing. Dr. Campbell started researching tawa-tawa, the plant Maria had been using. He discovered something that made his blood run cold. In the 1960s through 1980s, the U.S. National Cancer Institute conducted a massive screening program testing 35,000 plant species from around the world for anti-cancer properties. They tested plants from the Philippines. They tested tawa-tawa. And in 1982, they found that certain compounds in tawa-tawa induced apoptosis, programmed cell death, specifically in certain types of cancer cells. The study was never published. Dr. Campbell found it buried in the National Library of Medicine archives, a technical report that never received follow-up funding, never proceeded to clinical trials. But he found the answer in the report's own conclusion. Compound shows promise but cannot be patented due to natural occurrence. Recommend low priority for development. The compound worked, but it couldn't make money, so it was shelved. This wasn't incompetence. This was economics. A 2012 study from the University of the Philippines showed that tawa-tawa extract increased platelet count in dengue fever patients by 31% within 48 hours. Dengue fever kills approximately 40,000 people per year globally. Tawa-tawa could save thousands of lives. But there's no profit margin worth pursuing. Dr. Campbell sat in his office reading 40-year-old research documents, realizing that knowledge that could have saved lives had been deliberately shelved because it threatened pharmaceutical profit models. The American Botanical Council published a report in 2020 analyzing Filipino medicinal plants. The Philippines has officially recognized 47 medicinal plants through their Department of Health. Only 3 have been studied in U.S. clinical trials. 3 out of 47. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical companies spend an average of $2.6 billion developing each new synthetic drug. Total U.S. government funding for plant-based medicine research? $31 million annually. When profit matters more than healing, patients lose. And that's exactly what's been happening for decades. Maria's tumor was shrinking, her quality of life was improving, but her doctors were about to face an ethical crisis they never expected. 3 months after Dr. Campbell discovered what Maria had been taking, her oncology team held a meeting. The hospital administrator had been informed that a patient was using unauthorized herbal medicine during chemotherapy, which violated their treatment protocols. Maria received a letter stating that she was being non-compliant with treatment guidelines and might be removed from the program. Dr. Campbell intervened. He requested an emergency ethics board review and presented Maria's medical records. Her CA19-9 tumor marker, the blood test that measures colon cancer progression, had dropped 78% in 6 months. The expected drop with chemotherapy alone? 45%. Maria was doing 33% better than the best-case scenario for her treatment protocol. Dr. Campbell stood before the ethics board, 12 doctors, hospital lawyers, and pharmaceutical company liaisons who funded the oncology wing, and he asked a simple question: can someone explain to me why we want to stop a treatment that's working better than anything we've seen? The room was silent. Maria's lab results were undeniable. The ethics board meeting lasted 3 hours. The hospital legal counsel, surprisingly, sided with Dr. Campbell, citing Maryland state law that protects patient rights to complementary medicine as long as it doesn't replace standard care, which Maria's herbs hadn't. She'd taken them alongside chemo. Maria was allowed to continue both treatments. She became an informal case study that doctors would whisper about in the hallways. 18 months after her diagnosis, Maria Santos was in complete remission. Her tumor markers were undetectable. She's now 67 years old, cancer-free for 6 years, and she grows tawa-tawa in her backyard in Baltimore. Her neighbors think it's decorative landscaping. She knows it's medicine that the American healthcare system tried to deny her. Her success opened the floodgates to something the medical establishment couldn't control. Let's talk about the Filipino herbs that American doctors dismissed and what the actual science says. Ampalaya, bitter melon, Mamordica carrantia. A 2019 UCLA study found that Ampalaya extract reduced blood glucose levels by 26% in type 2 diabetics, comparable to metformin, the most commonly prescribed diabetes drug. Robert Chin, 58 years old, Filipino-American living in San Francisco, was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. His doctor prescribed metformin at $180 per month after insurance. Robert started drinking Ampalaya tea instead, $12 for a month's supply from a Filipino grocery store. 6 months later, his A1C dropped from 6.8 to 5.9. He's no longer pre-diabetic. His doctor has no explanation in the medical records for this improvement. Sambong, Blumia balsamifera, for kidney stones. Philippine General Hospital conducted studies from 2011 to 2015 showing that Sambong dissolved kidney stones in 73% of patients within 8 weeks. If you've ever passed a kidney stone, you know the pain is so intense that people who've experienced both childbirth and kidney stones say the stones are worse. Or you could drink tea that dissolves them. The choice seems obvious, but Sambong isn't FDA approved, so American doctors can't officially recommend it. Lagundi, Vitex Negundo, for respiratory issues. The Philippine Department of Health conducted clinical trials from 1997 through 2004 showing Lagundi works as an effective bronchodilator for asthma and reduces cough frequency by 68%. Compare that to albuterol inhalers, which cause side effects including tremors, rapid heartbeat, and anxiety. Lagundi clinical trials reported 0 significant side effects. Yerba buena, in the peppermint family, as a natural pain reliever. A 2013 University of Santo Tomas study found that yerba buena provides pain relief comparable to 500 milligrams of acetaminophen, which is a standard Tylenol dose. The Philippine FDA has approved 10 herbal medicines as safe and effective alternatives between 1997 and 2010. These aren't miracle cures being sold by con artists. They're medicines your Lola knew worked before pharmaceutical companies convinced the world that healing only comes in pill bottles. So why is the American medical system still rejecting them? 2019 through present. Filipino-American physicians start fighting back. Dr. Elena Rodriguez testifies before an FDA advisory panel about the systematic exclusion of traditional medicine from American healthcare. She presents data showing that Filipino Americans who are allowed to use traditional herbs alongside Western medicine have 23% better health outcomes across multiple conditions including diabetes, hypertension, and respiratory illness. The FDA panel listens politely and does nothing. But the research keeps coming. Stanford University published a study in 2021 on integrative medicine programs that combine conventional treatment with evidence-based traditional medicine. The results? 31% reduction in hospital readmission rates and $1,840 lower healthcare costs per patient annually. Kaiser Permanente, one of America's largest healthcare providers, launched a pilot program in 2022 integrating Filipino herbal medicine into their clinics in California. Patient satisfaction scores increased 18%. Prescription medication costs dropped 22%. Imagine this scene: Filipino grandmothers walking into American medical clinics with their herbal teas, and for the first time in U.S. history, doctors are writing those herbs into official treatment plans, documenting them in medical records, tracking outcomes. In 2023, the American College of Physicians issued new clinical guidelines recognizing traditional medicine when supported by clinical evidence. 47 U.S. hospitals now offer integrative medicine programs that include Filipino herbal treatments. Dr. Campbell, the oncologist who once dismissed Maria's tea, has now published 4 peer-reviewed papers on tawa-tawa and is leading a Phase 2 clinical trial at Johns Hopkins University studying its effects on colon cancer. But Big Pharma isn't giving up without a fight. Maria Santos stands at a podium in a Johns Hopkins Medical School lecture hall. She's holding up that same Ziploc bag of tawa-tawa, the one a doctor dismissed 6 years ago. She's speaking to 200 first-year medical students who are taking a new elective course, 80 hours on evidence-based herbal medicine. Dr. Campbell is standing in the back of the room watching students who, in any previous generation, would have dismissed Maria the same way he once did, now taking detailed notes on traditional Filipino medicine. Maria tells these future doctors, "My Lola saved my life. Your medical degree couldn't. But together, they can save millions." The National Institutes of Health announced in 2024 a $120 million research initiative studying traditional medicines from indigenous cultures worldwide, including Filipino herbal treatments. The World Health Organization's traditional medicine strategy for 2025 to 2034 prioritizes the integration of proven herbal treatments into primary healthcare systems globally. But here's the realistic warning that needs to be said: not all herbal medicines work, not all are safe, and some can interact dangerously with prescription drugs. The point isn't to reject Western medicine. The point is that dismissing all traditional medicine without research? That's medical malpractice. Dr. Francis Collins, former director of the National Institutes of Health, said in a 2023 interview, "We've been ignoring 5,000 years of human experimentation that we call traditional medicine. That's not wisdom. That's arrogance. The herbs your grandparents used weren't superstition. They were survival. They were accumulated knowledge from centuries of trial and error." Maria Santos tends her backyard garden in Baltimore. Rows of tawa-tawa, sambang, lagundi growing under the Maryland sun, completely out of place in American soil, thriving anyway. This is what resistance looks like. Not protests or petitions, but plants that refuse to be forgotten. And here's the final irony that should tell you everything. 15 pharmaceutical companies are now developing synthetic versions of Filipino herbal compounds, trying to create patentable drugs from plants that already work. They're finally admitting these herbs are effective, but only after figuring out how to profit from them. So here's what I need to know. If your doctor dismissed a treatment that could save your life because it didn't come from a pharmaceutical company, would you fight for it the way Maria did? Or would you accept their word as final? Because this isn't ancient history. This is happening right now to someone you know who's being told herbs don't work while their prescription costs $800 a month and barely manages their symptoms. Tell me in the comments, what traditional remedy did your family use that doctors told you was nonsense? Let's build a database they can't ignore anymore. Share your grandmother's remedies, your Lola's treatments, the herbs that worked when medicine failed. And if you're a doctor watching this thinking, herbal medicine isn't real medicine, explain Maria's remission. I'll wait right here with her 6 years of clean lab results.